the Madman!
Welcome to a very special segment, Sherlock Holmes and the Murder at Castle Nathria. I'm actually a fan of these murder mysteries. I like Danganronpa a lot, for example. I like solving puzzles. I like Detective Holmes cases. And this is a case. The Murder at Castle Nathria is a chilling tale of death and deception, and a detective most cunning. An instant classic in Murloc-based literature, perfect for dramatic reenactments. Now you can follow along as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Wadfin explore the many Castle Nathria locations, looking for clues and interviewing the 10 prime suspects in this Murder at Castle Nathria script. Grab some friends and your deer stalker hat as the drama unfolds over the coming days. Do you have what it takes to solve the Murder at Castle Nathria? I'm going to attempt to solve the murder at Castle Nathria in the same way that Sherlock Holmes might. While there's no reward for doing so, unlike if you sign up for Webull, their promotional offer has extended into July. Wow. Wait, perfect segue. Pow, would you like $34? I want you to get this money. And thank you to the sponsor of this video, Webull, for providing a great promotion. Use my link below, deposit at least 1 penny, and they're going to give you 6 free stocks up to $12,600 in value, minimum $34. And keeping it real, you're probably going to get a little bit more than $34, unless you're extremely lucky. But hey, this is like the easiest $34 of your life. Now, I am a very big believer in investing. I've made a few videos about it, and I even have a Patreon where I talk about how I'm personally investing. And I would hope that everyone is investing early and often. It is great to look out for your financial success in the future. And to do that, you gotta get started now. They're bribing you with free money. Go do it. It's a really good UI. I personally use it in order to track my portfolio because you can configure it to show whatever you want. You get your 34 free dollars, you put it into a well-diversified low-cost index fund, such as VTI, you wait 1 or 2 decades, again, setting very realistic expectations here, keeping it real, and then poof! It's $100! And hey, let's say you're super rich out there, you don't even care about this $34. Well, when you sign up, you're also going to give me even more money. If you like my content, great way to give you and me a lot of money. So thank you again, Webull, for the great promotion. Use the link below, sign up, get your free money. Value for all. So let's explore. Part 1 of 4. Sounds of crackling campfire, distant howls, and screeching of dangerous forest creatures. Our spooky narrator begins. Welcome, friends and fiends. Are you ready to shiver at another spine-tingling tale? Then you're in luck. Or not. Hold fast to your courage as you listen to the story of Lightning and Crash of Thunder! Murder at Castle Nathria. Castle Nathria. A dangerous place, where ruthless eyes gawk in the night, where even the most powerful cannot reverse the implacable turn of the dark wheels of fate, and where it is generally unwise to accept party invitations delivered by gargoyles. The Great Hall. We hear the sounds from a party. Murmurs, clinking glasses, appropriate music. After his dinner party guests had assembled in the Great Hall, Sire Denathrius, the master of Revendreth, raised a goblet, a golden goblet of red misty anima, perhaps blissfully unaware that he had invited his worst nemesis. Welcome to my humble home. I know all are eager to become better acquainted over a grand feast and harmless innocent parlor games.
For instance, I myself wonder, what did each of you hope for by accepting my invitation? Riches? Knowledge? The cachet of being seen with me? Or perhaps you have heard vile rumors that I, Sire Denathrius, have been ruthlessly hoarding anima. True, it is heady and intoxicating, frighteningly good, and makes you powerful beyond... Denathrius coughs, realizing he is about to prove the rumors true. But, as I was saying, I hope tonight will be an evening you'll never forget. I have a few final touches to prepare for the evening's festivities. Please explore my home till you are summoned for dinner. Denathrius' hoofsteps fade into the distance. A door slams shut. While the guests were confused by their host's departure, they took the sire's suggestion and for some time wandered about the castle and its grounds, all by themselves. When suddenly, the crush of a goblet! Sound of the anima wafting upward like a soft wind. A shrill scream from Stewart. Help! Help! Sire, Denathrius has been murdered! This is an OP33 Paladin card. Dramatic music! It was true. Denathrius, the sire, lay on the floor of the dining hall. How the mighty have fallen. The 10 guests, every one of them now suspects, all gathered around. Running feet and hooves, slamming doors, gasps of surprise. But who had done this dreadful deed? The mysterious broker? Artificer Zymox? Ah, he was so good for business. The ethereal with the spot-on title of Arch-Villain Reform! My very good and dear friend, Sire, the Nathria, no! The orcish Baroness, Draka. Ah, clearly you are very close to him, Rafam. Or 2 others who hailed from Maldraxxus, Decimator Olgra, another orc, who had come on a mission. He can't be dead! I needed something from him. Perhaps it was Baroness Vosh, the Naga, who, like Draka was formerly of the House of Spies. Who could have possibly wanted him dead? Or was it the Sire's ally, the power-hungry Lich, Kel'Thuzad? I am devastated and outraged. How could you be so careless, Denathrius? Now none of our schemes are going to be hatched. I think you said the quiet part out loud. Could the killer be one of the 2 visitors from Ardenveld, the Silvar Arlon, or Cecily, the Tyrann? What a tragic turn. Rustle. I cannot say our queen will be unhappy. Surely it couldn't have been the kindly Kyrian invitee, Pelagos. Such events are always tragic, but he was not the nicest person, was he? It definitely wasn't the loyal steward, Stewart. Or was it? Hoo, poor sire, hoo. The guests all stared at one another with suspicion. Someone here, among us, was a killer. Not long after the accusations started to fly, there was a flash of lightning and a rumble of thunder. And the front doors were flung open. In the doorway stood a figure, small but mighty, one to give hope to the innocent and strike fear in the hearts of the guilty. It was none other than the great detective, Sherlock Holmes. Yes, it was he himself and his friend and colleague, Dr. Watfin. Everyone gasped. Like the master detective he is, Holmes took control of the room at once. The suspects were instructed not to leave while he examined the body. Holmes is gurgling as if saying the things attributed to him. Holmes found it curious that he could unearth nothing to indicate the cause of death. He asked the sire's servants to remove the body, then he drew a chalk outline on the floor. He must discover who done it before he could discover how done it. Where were the suspects at the time of the murder? Erlon was in the kennels. Cecily was in the maze. Lady Vosh was in the muck pools. Draka was in the Sinstone Cemetery. The game was afoot. Holmes decided to begin his investigations at the locations outside the castle. The first stop, the kennels. Huntsman Altamore wasn't here, so he cannot vouch for me, but the Gargon hounds can. Terrible sounds of threat turn to equally terrible sounds of affectionate greeting. Hello again, friends. May I pet your dog too, Draka? Oh, no. Where to next, Mr. Holmes? So many suspects, so many sights. What clues might the great detective find in his effort to solve the murder? Perhaps Draka was eager to distract him from something important. It was time to investigate her alibi and visit the sinister Sinstone Cemetery. Looks like this part was just a bunch of exposition. There was no useful information here. Or was there? As always, the murderer is going to be the person you most medium suspect. First impressions are that the least sus would be Stuart. The most sus would probably be like Rafam and Draka. And like all the big baddies like are the most sus. Kel'Thuzad. So obviously in these murder mysteries, there's gonna be a who, what, how, when, where. In this case, because what is it? Murder at Castle Nathria features locations. I suspect where will be very important. In these like Sherlock Holmes type things, it's usually a really minor detail where everything is giving it away. This is a portrait, I guess, of Denathrius, and this is what he usually looks like, I'm guessing. So it'd be typical for him to be holding a goblet. So we know that the initial location is the Great Hall. You had his dinner party guests in the Great Hall. Denathrius raises a golden goblet of red misty anima. Right here. Welcome to my humble home. What did each of you hope for by accepting my invitation? So this is like a motive, perhaps? Denathrius has been ruthlessly hoarding anima. It's heady, intoxicating, frighteningly good, and makes you powerful beyond. And then he coughs, realizing he is about to prove the rumor is true. Did he cough because he was like trying to stop himself from giving away powerful beyond imagination is probably the word that was coming here? Or was he already poisoned at that moment? It would seem like this is the moment where he was already poisoned, perhaps. This picture is like him probably as he's getting murdered. So is there anything noteworthy about this picture? This is him looking normal. The goblet's different. Like it's got this big giant purple gem on it. The anima looks a little bit more pronounced here than here. Like it's like really big. Tonight will be an evening. Denathrius' hoofsteps fade into the distance. A door slams shut. While the guests were confused by their host's departure, they took the sire's suggestions and for some time wandered around the castle and its grounds all themselves, when suddenly, the crash of a goblet, a shrill scream from Stuart. So, I guess here's the details. We gotta have a timeline here. Timeline. 10 guests in Great Hall. Denathrius makes speech while holding goblet. Coughs. Denathrius leaves? Unexpectedly? Question mark? Apparently, the guests were confused by their host's departure, so this is a little bit weird. I have a few final touches to prepare for the evening's festivities. To prepare for the evening, he closed a door. The door slammed shut. After some time, unknown amount of time, crash of a goblet, sound of anima wafting upward. Now, it's worth thinking about. Maybe the sound of the anima wafting upward is not actually anima wafting upward. It could be like wings flying upward. Does anyone fly here? A shrill scream from Stuart. It looks like Stuart finds the body really, really fast.
As you know from Among Us, the person who finds the body, pretty suspicious. Stuart found the body pretty quickly, it seems. Now, in this picture, there's this red wafting thing. The anima, presumably? It's across everyone. So here's the characters. We got Stuart. The 10 guests, every one of them now suspects, all gathered around. Who had done the dreadful deed? Was it Artificer Zymox? So Stuart is a paladin. Anyone know the classes off the top of your heads? I don't know what a Zymox is off the top of my head. He was so good for business. So let's see. Person, class. Is that Demon Hunter? Reason to kill. Reason to not kill. So Paladin the Stewart, servant of Nathria. Artificer Zymox, good for business. The Ethereal with the spot-on title of Arch Villain Rafam. This is a warlock, presumably. My very good and dear friend Sire Donatrio. Reason to kill. For fun. Doesn't actually know the Nathria. The Orcish Baroness Olgra. Or Draka. What is Draka? Is this a rogue? Clearly, you were very close to Rafam. She's holding some wine. Actually, we should look at the suspects some more. So, this Artificer, anything weird? Doesn't look like anything is weird. I wonder if, like, the blood here is doing anything. The anima? Is this the anima? Artificers are usually non-loyal entities. They side with the highest bidder. In WoW, he's only there for the loot Denathrius promised him. Reason to kill, Denathrius doesn't deliver the loot. Reason not to kill, well, none, no. He was good for business. So so one would think that Zymox is like a business partner. Or two others who hailed from Maldraxxus. This is probably... The fact that it mentions they're from Maldraxxus is probably a little bit interesting. So I guess from Maldraxxus. There's two orcs, by the way, so statistically, it's most likely that an orc killed. Also, these are the people I most medium suspect. So we got Decimator Ogra. Warrior. Another orc who had come on a mission. He can't be dead. I needed something from him. These are tiny hands. Wow. Reason not to kill. Needed something. This sounds genuine, that like if he's dead, she can't do the thing. I'm guessing Baroness Vosh also is from Maldraxxus, based on this wording. Baroness Vosh. This is a shaman who, like Draka, was formerly of the House of Spies. House of Spies. Who could possibly have wanted him dead? Two of our hands in this little excellent fashion. He looks pretty happy. Reason to kill. Thinks everyone wanted him dead. Vosh is again like too evil to actually be the murderer. This is the person I most suspect, but the person who actually did the murder is the person you most medium suspect. Kel'Thuzad, a mage. I am devastated and outraged. How could you be so careless, Denathrius? Now none of our schemes are going to be hatched. Reason not to kill. Schemed with Denathrius. Rafam, I think you said the quiet part out loud. Could the killer be one of the two visitors from Ardenweald? The Silvar Arelon. Is this a druid? Or is this the druid? What a tragic turn. This is the person I most medium suspect right here. What a tragic turn. Hunter? Cecily. Druid. I cannot say our queen will be unhappy. Reason to kill. Makes queen happier. Surely it couldn't have been the kindly Kyrian invitee, Pelagos. Pelagos. What's the last class? Paladin? No. Priest. Okay. Sure, such events are always tragic, but he was not the nicest person, was he? Reason to not kill. Too nice to kill someone. Nathria, not nice. It definitely wasn't the loyal steward, Stuart. Or was it? That's too suspicious to be a murder. Kyrian is a covenant. Yes, I don't know the Shadowlands very well. Apparently these are like the four covenants, locations. The guests all stared at one another with suspicion. Someone here was a killer. Accusations. The front doors were flung open. Murloc Holmes. So potentially important is after Holmes comes in, nobody was allowed to leave. So after Holmes came in, nobody could leave the crime scene. He drew the outline of the body. This is Nathria. He's holding this goblet, and the goblet is dead. In this picture, there's no wafting anima from the goblet. Is this the goblet? I think this is the goblet. What's with the 2 X's here? Wait, is that the goblet? What is this right here? Is this just a random urn? The goblet is golden in first image. This is silver. He doesn't have to be like holding the same goblet, but it's a very distinctive goblet. It's very purple gemmy. So this, if this is the goblet, which would make sense since this is the like big crime thing on the ground here. This is a very different goblet. And like this goblet is obviously not the goblet that he was holding originally because the other goblet was golden and also had a big purple gem. Sire's servants remove the body, draw the chalk outline. Who done it before you could discover how done it. So again, the murder, it looks like it happened very fast. The crash of a goblet, sound of the animal wafting upward like a soft wind, a shrill scream from Stuart. Suddenly, so like almost all at the same time. So picturing this again, it would seem to me like the murderer flies up. Like that's the sound of anima wafting upward. There's the crash of a goblet. Also, I don't know why anima wafts upward. Like this anima is clearly wafting downward. Death is animated that way. Anima and spirity stuff goes up. What's with this goblet then? Also, potentially noteworthy is that, like, of the guests here, there's 2 people drinking wine. You got Draka, and you have Rafam. Now, obviously drinking wine is something you would do at a party. It's pretty normal, but it is interesting that, like, 2 of the characters are distinctly drawn drinking wine. Okay, so anyways, Murloc Holmes, here's the goblet. It's on the floor. Apparently there's like red X's indicating the goblet is dead. Who knows? There's the goblet. I don't even see where the red X's could be. Watching the video might help here. Does it look like he died in any weird way? Like the body? Do you fall in like drinking like this? Anyways, we have some alibis here. Alibi. Erewhon was in the kennels. Cecily was in the maze. Lady Vosh was in the muck pools. Draka was in the Sinstone Cemetery. So they couldn't be anywhere near this thing. The game was afoot. Holmes decided to begin his investigation at the locations outside the castle. The first stop, the kennels. Huntsman Altamore wasn't here, so he cannot vouch for me, but the Gargon Hounds can. The terrible sounds of threat turned to equally terrible sounds of affectionate greeting. Hello again, friends. So Erewhon, who's a hunter, the fact that the dogs recognize Erewhon, it would mean that he was here before. It would seem. So it seems like this alibi checks out. Confirmed by Gargon hounds. Now, indirectly, you can kind of tell what other people were doing. Kel'Thuzad has a wine glass in his hand, so he was like drinking wine. I'll just like fill in this over here. If you were in the muck pools, wouldn't you have like some muck around you or something? Draco is also drinking wine. Now it's worth noting that the murder was very, like Sherlock Holmes couldn't figure out the murder by looking at the body, like the method of murder. He must discover who done it before he could discover how done it. So, cause of death, not obvious. You have to think about how would people like murder people. People from the House of Spies would be good at causing not obvious deaths. House of Spies is also from Maldraxxus, so that's 4 out of 10 from Maldraxxus. KT in Shadowlands is from Meld. So it is possible, like that some people are working together, possibly unwittingly as well. It reminds me a little bit of Game of Thrones. Not really a spoiler, but it reminds me of, you know, drinking from a goblet and then dying. Now it's worth noting that, like, if only one person murdered Nathria, Kel'Thuzad and Draka might actually be able to vouch for each other. It's worth noting that they have very different goblets, which is kind of weird, right? You'd expect the Nathria to have standardized goblets. So okay, let me put the suspicion level. So I think the person who found the body is probably not the murderer. Like, I understand that in this case it's this is just gut instinct. It's also worth noting that let's see. Here, random notes as well. Additional notes. If sound of anima wafting upwards is flying, Stuart can fly. Can these guys fly? Anyone know? I'd say Draka and Olga were highly unlikely to. Wait, why? No, they can't fly. Okay. I think Erlon's alibi is actually confirmed in the first one, because confirmed by Gargon hounds is kind of a big deal. On the other hand, it is possible Erlon's actually telling the truth, that he did go to the kennels, and he did go get the Gargon hounds, but he also found a way to murder Nathria while he was in the kennels. It doesn't seem like the murderer needed to be in the same place as Nathria here, because the cause of death might have been poisoning. But that changes if the goblet is not the same goblet. Like if the goblet was swapped out. Decimator Olga needed something. I felt like that was pretty genuine. Additional notes. What did Olga need? Why did Stuart find the body so fast? Deathfang's 3 heads growl. Well, that's interesting to note. I guess that's a little bit something I didn't catch. Draka brought Deathfang, her pet, a 3-headed dog. Draka brought her pet Deathfang, a 3-headed dog. If Nathria left the hall, why was he found in the hall? That was a kind of a good question. I forgot to even say where the murder scene was. So, the timeline again. They first met at the dining hall, the Great Hall, and then Nathria left the hall, and then everyone left the hall and wandered around the castle and its grounds. And then, in the hall, Nathria is dead. I'm giving a really bad reason on why it can't be Rafam and Kel'Thuzad and Vosh, it's because they're like too popular to actually have killed him. But it is possible that they wanted to kill him just for funsies. But, you know, you gotta... It feels like this is the type of story where it wouldn't be like the big bad Rafam or Kvash or Kel'Thuzad to kill Denathrius. It doesn't feel like that kind of murder. Just reading into the story author. Rafam has no subtlety whatsoever, right? When I like think about it some. There's no way Rafam would be able to kill Denathrius and then for the cause of murder to not be obvious. Cause of death would be obvious. A little bit of sus on the people who are spies. The spies would know about poison. It seems a little bit too obvious, but, you know, we'll highlight this. Let's take a moment to look at the video. So this is the goblet that fell to the ground. You'll note that Denathrius is not in this picture. This is just like free falling. Blank.
Welcome to Revendreth, in the darkest of seasons, where ruthless eyes gawk for horrific reasons. For a hidden hand has struck me down with such ruthlessness, so deep and profound. Then he comes with his Molochian scowl to uncover the truth of murder most foul. The anima...
Huh, that's weird. The anima isn't flowing until, like, Murloc Holmes looks at it with the magnifying glass?
To uncover the truth of murder most foul. The anima drifts across the floor, highlighting the creatures who walked through my door. The motives are as black as night. Avarice, power, revenge, and blight.
And there's an apple here with a skull on it.
We watch the hero uncover the clues.
This is Rafam, right? In a secret passage.
That lead to the truth behind this dark
Is that Draka? Or the warrior orc?
ruse. Join us here with the grim and impious. Choose your path
That's Olga.
without heavenly bias. For at the end, they will burn in the fire. When it is known who slayed Denathrius the Sire.
Definitely is very smug Denathrius at the end here. I feel like there's gotta be some truth to this end as well.
When it is known who slayed Denathrius the Sire.
When it is known who has slain Denathrius the Sire, they will all burn at the pyre?
For at the end, they will burn in the fire.
They will burn in a
When
fire.
it is known who slayed Denathrius the Sire. With the grim and impious, choose your path without heavenly bias. For at the end, they will burn in the fire. When it is...
So why will they burn in a fire when it is figured out who has slain Denathrius the Sire? It definitely feels like Denathrius might have some part of this. Like, this might be part of the festivities. Because one of the questions should indeed be, how did Murloc Holmes, come in? So someone called him, right? I don't know if this is like, just because this is a plot ex machina, but Murloc Holmes arrives shortly after, a murder, conveniently. And it was said that
Nathria was planning for festivities. There's nothing like a good old murder mystery for a festivity. The evening's festivities. Where were the suspects at the time of the murder? Why do we only get 4 of them? Where? Where? Where are the others? Where? The location cards are where the suspects claim they were at the time of the murder. Oh, maybe. Not maybe, they said it. Oh, I guess, okay. I guess it was said, like, the locations are the alibi locations or something. It definitely feels like there has to be something in this first part. There has to be something here that's actually a clue. Like, there's all this artwork. There's gotta be something somewhere in here, which is a clue. So many pictures. How do I not see any clues in here at all? I mean, it is the first part, just the introduction of the story. Holmes found it curious that he could unearth nothing to indicate the cause of death. Nathria is also a pretty powerful person, so it would be really difficult to, like, kill him up front. Which kind of makes sense, because the cause of death is unknown, which means the murder was done pretty secretively. Which is also a reason why it probably isn't the big dumb warrior who killed. Because, like, big warrior just smashed things. I think this is Nathria lying face up with the goblet in his right hand. But did you notice that Nathria is toasting with his left hand here? Someone messed with murder scene. Why do you think that? Why do you think he was moved also? I guess that's possible. The body was dropped and then the murderer ran away. The goblet could be like the murderer wants to make the people think that poison is the cause of death, which seems like the obvious initial guess, but the cause of death may not actually be poison. I mean, the most obvious cause of death is Nathria was drinking and the goblet is poisoned, which means that it is probably not the actual cause of death. Now, one of the potentially interesting things to think about is, what is a method of killing someone which is not obvious? Like, Holmes found it curious he could unearth nothing to indicate the cause of death. Like, it would seem obvious that the cause of death is poisoned by drinking. Maybe Holmes could not uncover cause of death because the poison goblet was swapped. That sounds plausible. In before it's gonna be one of those cop-out stories and it turns out none of them did it. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping there actually is one murderer. And I'm hoping that Nathria isn't just throwing a prank. It's like, haha, pranked you all. But that could be possible. Alright, so that's the initial thoughts. Hopefully part 2 comes up with more information. Until then, keep thinking about and posting your theories about who murdered Nathria.